So now we are looking at chapter 3 of Corman, algorithm and analysis. So this is growth of functions, and let us see some overview first. Whenever we describe the behavior of functions in the limit, we are actually trying to talk about asymptotic efficiency in the limit. We describe the growth of functions, that is how we'll describe our running time algorithms, and we just focus on what is important just by abstracting or leaving, ignoring the lower order terms and constant factors, and then we indicate running times of algorithms. This is how we compare sizes of functions. This is big O, this is smaller o, so this is equal to, less than or equal to, and this is less than. So this is quite tighter. This is omega, and this is also omega. This is less than equal to, this is just less than. And when we talk about is equal to, when we say theta notation. So we'll be using this order and theta interchangeably. Asymptotic notation, first is big O, that is big O of any function gn will be equal to fn if there exists some positive constant, say c and n0, such that this function lies between 0 and c into gn, c is some constant, and this n0, all these n we are talking about, they are greater than or equal to n0. What this diagram shows, as this is the function fn, and this is cgn, c into gn, and this function fn lies below this cgn, above this line. Before this, just before this you say, and you see that these two lines are cutting, or these two curves are meeting somewhere, and after this n0, that is why we talked about n should be greater than or equal to n0. Before this we are not worried, because for smaller values things may change perhaps, but after n0, this value, which is n, all these n which are greater than n0, this function or this cgn is constant into gn, is the upper bound of this function fn. So we are talking about fn, and we will be finding the upper bound of this fn. So gn is now called the asymptotic upper bound of this function fn, because this will always have an upper hand, this will bound it, the function fn. So fn belongs to this order of gn, and we just write fn is order of gn. Let us take an example. We have 2n square is equal to order of n cube, with c equal to 1 and n0 equal to 2. So example of function of order n square will be n square plus 1, n square plus 1000n, 1000 n square, and also we have n by 1000, n to the power something, n square to the power log n. In this case, we always say that this will always be the order of n square, and this is always will be the order of n. What about this omega notation? Omega of gn is actually the asymptotic lower bound. In the similar fashion, we explain the big O notation. In this case, if we say that fn has the lower bound, or has some lower bound, say gn, there should exist some cn and 0, such that this cgn is lower than fn always. This cgn is a lower bound of fn. We are interested in function, we are talking about fn only, and this n should be equal to n0, because just before n0 we are not worried, this numbers are less, so this will change, but after this n0 or some value, this curve, the below curve, will always be guiding, or will be the lower bound of fn. If root n is this omega of log n, then only it is possible if c equal to n and n0 equal to 16. You can just try it. Omega of n square is like this, n square, n square, n square, n square, n square, and also we have n cube, these are all n cube, n to the power something, n to the power square, and so these are all the lower bounds. Then we have theta notation. What is this theta? There has to be some two constants, c1, c2, and of course you know about n0 now. But in this case, fn lies between this c1 g1 and c2 gn. Gn remains the same in both the cases. So now this function fn has some tight bound, means it is upper bound also, it has upper bound also, and it is bounded in the lower section by c1 gn. So this fn is asymptotically tight bounded by c1 g1 and c2 gn. We call it as a theta notation. So n square by n minus 2n is order of n square. The value has to be c1, c2. You can just compute or place it in this equation, and you will realize that this is correct. So if Fn is theta of Gn, then this is possible only if and only if f is order of Gn and f is theta omega of Gn, because order of Gn means upper bound, big O, and omega means lower bound. So this is what we mean when we say that it is tight bound, because we have a upper bound also, we have a lower bound also. We don't consider the constant and lower order terms at all. What about asymptotic notations in equations? When on right hand side, if I have order of n square, we say that 2n square plus 3n plus 1 is 2n square plus order of n. This will be order of n. This function will be 2n square plus 3n, and this will be some function fn for some fn which belongs to or is a theta of n. In particular, we call this fn as 3n plus 1. It is the order of 1. This is how we interpret for say 1 to n, some value order of I. This means order of 1 plus 2 till I. This is not okay because we have n hidden constant, and this is equal to 1. This is okay because this is an anonymous functions. At this point, there is no clean interpretation, so we will not be taking this. And when we have this is on right hand side, but when we have it on left hand side, no matter how the anonymous function are chosen on left hand side, there is always a way to choose this anonymous function on the right hand side to make the equation valid. How? Let us interpret 2n square plus theta n. That is, this is order of or theta of n square, meaning for all functions fn will always be order of n only, and there has to be a function gn which belongs to theta of n square. So this 2n square plus fn will be equal to gn, and we can also chain them together. That means 2n square and 3n plus 1, we say that this is theta of n, and this combined way we call it as a order of n square, because n square, the growth is always higher. So the first function, this one, fn belongs to gn, that means 2n square plus 3n plus 1 is 2n square plus fn. While the second equation says that for all gn which belongs to theta n, we have this fn which is used to make the first equation whole. So there has to have an hn which belongs to order of n square. That is why this hn is nothing but order of n square. Now we have small o notation. As I indicated earlier, order of gn will be, means the function will be of small o notation of some function gn when this function will be less than cgn, when it is not going to touch it at all for some n greater than or equal to. You have seen the graph, so it is not going to touch at all. But there is another view. It is like fn by gn, which n goes up to infinity. This is equal to 0. So n to the power 1.999, this will be order of n square. This is the there is a bound which is less than, not equal to. So this is a lower bound. And n square, this was big O. This is a big O. This was a upper bound. This one. This is a upper bound. Upper bound. And we are saying that it touch sometime. But the upper bound here, it is not going to touch anytime. So this will be the upper bound. That is order of n square. N square by log n, again we will take the higher one, n square. N square is not equal to order of n square. That is 2 will never be equal to less than or equal to 2. 2 will always be equal to 2. And n square by 1000 will also not be equal to small o of n square. Please understand that. About omega notation, this is the lower bound, but it will never touch. So fn will always be higher than cgn. So this cgn is a lower bound, and this only means fn by gn for n equal to infinity will be infinity, will be undefined. Here it is 0, it is undefined. For n to the power 2.001, we'll take it as, we'll scrap this and take n square. For n square log n, we'll take n square. But n square will not be equal to omega n square because they are not going to touch at all. When we compare functions, we have some properties, equivalence properties like transitivity and reflexivity and symmetry. So transitivity says if fn is order of gn and gn is order of hn, then fn will be the order of hn. This is same for all these notations. Reflexivity means fn is theta of fn, because theta is always true because it is reflexive. This is similar for big O and omega, big omega. Symmetry means if fn is theta of gn, if and only if fn is gn is also theta of fn. What about transpose symmetry? If fn is big O of gn, and it is only possible when gn is a omega of fn. In the similar fashion, fn is small o of gn if and only if gn is a omega of small omega of fn. And when we try to compare, fn is asymptotically smaller or larger. So if it is smaller than gn, then fn is small of gn. Asymptotic larger than this gn, this fn should be always equal to omega of gn. We can like this O to be less than equal to big omega to be greater than equal to like real numbers, where a is less than 0, a is equal to 0, a is greater than b. So we can assume it like this, but we might not be able to compare the functions, right? If n is n to the power 1 plus sine n and n, how to compare them? Since 1 plus sine n always oscillates or move between 0 to 2. Sine n, it will vary from -1 to +1. So this 1 plus sine n will vary from 0 to 2. Okay, standard notations and common functions which we are going to use. Monotonicity. What is this? If fn is monotonically increasing, then for every m less than equal to n, the function fm should always be less than equal to fn. If it is decreasing, then m greater than equal to n means fm is also greater than equal to n. Strictly increasing means we'll replace or we'll remove this is equal to sign. Strictly increasing means m is less than n means fm is less than fn. Strictly decreasing means m is greater than n, then fm is greater than fn. Let us take some exponential identities. A to the power -1, this is -1, this is 1 by a to the power m, and after that after the bracket if you have power n, that will be equal to a to the power mn. If these two are like this, a to the power m and a to the power n, this will be added, m plus n, the powers are added. And we can relate rate of growth of polynomials and exponentials for all real constant a and b for a greater than 1 just by placing n by b by a by 1. For limit n tends to infinity, it will tend to 0, which actually implies nb is order of an. nb is order of n only. We also have e to the power x, which is always greater than equal to 1 plus x, because if x get closer to 0, e to the power 0 will only be 1. E to the power x will become 1 plus x. We have logarithmic notations also. Log n, when we write lg, that means we are talking about the base as 2. When we write lnn, we are talking about base as e, log base e. Log to the power kn is nothing but log n to the power k. This is exponentiation. And log of log n means log of this. This is composition. So logarithmic function apply only to the next term of the formula. That is log n plus k means first you take log n plus k, not log n plus k. This is not true. So in the expression say log where base is b and a, we hold b as constant, then the expression is strictly increasing as a increases. And when we hold a as constant, in this case, if a is constant, then the expression is strictly decreasing as b increases. Because log, let me tell you, log ba, if I say it is x, then x to the power b is a. So this holds if a is constant, then the expression is strictly decreasing as b increases. And in the similar fashion, if we hold b as constant, then a is increasing. Now we have useful identities for if we consider a and b and c, we are using it. And a and b and c, these three are greater than equal to 0 with some n. Well, logarithm bases are not 1. So a is equal to nothing but b to the power log ba. These two will cancel out, log will be gone, and this will be equal to a only. If we have log, say some base c and ab, we can add them, log a plus log b. If we have log base b, a to the power n, n can come in front. So n log ba. What is this log ba? We can introduce some constant c and we can divide it, means log a by log b, provided the base should be c. What about log b 1 by a? Again, we'll follow this convention and that will be minus log ba. Log ba means 1 by log. We can change the base and the value just by reciprocating it or taking reciprocal. A to the power log bc, we can easily replace this a with c here. See, we have c to the power log ba. So changing the base of the logarithm form, one constant to another, only changes the value by a constant factor. So we usually don't worry about this logarithm base in asymptotic notion, but we'll try to explain every time. Conventional is that this lg within asymptotic notion, unless we place or explain you some base. As this polynomial grows more slowly than exponentials, logarithm grow more slowly than polynomials. For example, if we have taken this nb by a to the power n and infinity is 0, we substitute log n for n to the power a for a. Let us see what happens. This will become log ba and n to the power a, and that will be 0. So implying that log to the power ba will be nothing but order of n to the power a. Factorial, if we write factorial n, that is equal to 1 to n multiplication, we have a special case called factorial 0 that will be equal to 1. And you can also use Stirling's approximation, that is factorial n would be under root 2 pi n by e n 1 plus theta of 1 by n. We can easily derive that log of n factorial will be order of n log n by Stirling's approximation. So these are the various expressions and relationship which we are going to use very often in the later section to come. Thank you so much. Take care.